Mima, lead vocalist of pop idol group Cham, changes her career from pop singer into an actress for a television drama. The career change causes discord amongst Mima's dedicated following of fans, including a stalker with an obsession for Mima, a man who embraces the online alias Mimania, a play on words of Mima's own name, and mania. As Mima's career in television continues to stir controversy, even upsetting her assistant and close friend Rumi, and as Cham's popularity soars further than ever as a duo, Mima faces a series of disturbing and violent circumstances that challenges her perception of reality and what it means to truly be herself. This is Satoshi Kon's iconic psychological thriller Perfect Blue, a classic within feature-length animation, challenging the stigmatization that animation is only for children, with Perfect Blue's fascinating examination of the extremes of parasocial obsession, dissociative identity disorder, and the pressures of fame, presented via a complex, non-linear narrative that continues to serve as an inspiration for filmmakers and animators worldwide. It's clear that Perfect Blue proves that animation was never simply only for children. A perplexing psychological drama, Perfect Blue continues to puzzle and engage many audiences who are willing to delve into its mental depths. Kon is often considered a highly respected, if not slightly underrated, figure of animation, having died at the age of 46 from pancreatic cancer. Satoshi Kon's body of work is modest, consisting of 4 feature-length films, 1 television series, and a respectable selection of short animation, and unfortunately, tragically unfinished works. Yet his impact is gargantuan. Satoshi Kon's inspiration stems from works as suspenseful and exciting as Alfred Hitchcock and David Lynch, while his impact is clearly seen in popular works to this day, from Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan, another tale of self-sacrifice and the struggle with identity in the chase towards success, to Christopher Nolan's own penchant for non-linear storytelling, in a similar vein of Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue, predating Christopher Nolan's directorial feature-length debut following by a year. Kon's frequent fascination for the blurring of reality, dreams, fiction, and the question of identity into a complex tapestry of unreliability is present in much of his work, Perfect Blue being no exception. Elaborating on this, Gunsili Yelchinkaya wrote for Dazed Digital, stating that there aren't many filmmakers who can interrogate reality as captivatingly as Satoshi Kon. The Japanese filmmaker is one of the most respected creators of anime, a director who's often uttered in the same breath as Hayao Miyazaki and Katsuhiro Otomo. While his interest in the possibilities of cyberspace and the nature of mass media can draw comparisons to the work of David Cronenberg or Olivier Assayas, Kon was a singular cinematic mastermind, blurring the lines between performance and identity, the tension between the real and the unreal, and the very porous line between illusion and materiality. Kon's work steered clear of conventional anime tropes, in which narratives often fall into sci-fi, fantasy, or romantic genres. His novel approach to animation took cues from live-action auteurs such as David Lynch, Terry Gilliam, and Alfred Hitchcock, and ultimately led Kon to develop his experimental style of filmmaking, characterized by its heavy use of overlapping scenes and jump cuts. This technique of overlapping scenes to blur the narrative's reality with fiction, from Mima's nightmares into her television appearances, her visions manifesting her self-critical anxieties and self-doubts regarding her career, eventually into concert performances, is overwhelmingly impactful, captivating the viewer into a similar position to Mima, questioning her reality and what is exactly happening as the film continues to unfold. By avoiding many of the common tropes of anime, Satoshi Kon aims to recreate the personal limitations of a vulnerable mind, pushed to its limits as a target of stalking, career pressure, and the intimidating consequences of fame. A significant amount of Perfect Blue aims to examine the invasive nature of fame, and the ease in which people forget that successful artists are people too, tabloid journalists waiting outside of Mimarin's apartment door, door, dedicated fans waiting outside of her agent's office for the opportunity to talk to her. Mima's Room, a blog detailing many of Mima's personal preferences and daily actions in obsessive detail. Fans speculating on Mima's career changes, suggesting she requires saving. No matter whichever direction Mima decides to take her career, it would be both not good enough for some supposed fans, and also yet would be the source of incessant scrutiny and observation by those same fans. Additionally, scenes of Mima accepting roles that she later questions and acknowledges as not being completely willing to fulfill them, sometimes in the form of a vision of an alternate Mimarin who reflects her pop idol career, who criticizes her, slut-shaming her. From a graphic sexual assault scene within her television drama role to a highly sexualized nude photo shoot with a controlling photographer holds a disturbing relevancy within the modern climate where career progress and sexual harassment can unfortunately blur. Peter Bradshaw sums this up concisely within his critical review of Perfect Blue for The Guardian, stating that it is a broad, brash pulp thriller which isn't shy about explicit violence and softcore nudity, and some of its scenes are incidentally pretty uncomfortable in our Weinstein age. Referencing the phrase Weinstein age, Perfect Blue does hold that uneasy relevancy within the post-Me Too world, where complete consent within certain roles is essential, as well as the open acknowledgement of sexual harassment and abuse that was rewarded with career progress and erasure of victims' voices. Knowing that Mima is a character who comes to doubt herself and reluctantly accepts questionable roles after facing career pressure from her own agent. After a graphic sexual scene for television and posing for a sexualized photo shoot for a magazine, the Me Too movement would certainly have provided Mimarin with additional security to fight back from the patriarchal pressure that encouraged her to perform roles she wasn't completely consenting to. This is unfortunately another pressure of fame which Mima acknowledges that she needed to fulfill, as to avoid disappointing her followers, an acknowledgement of an external entitlement to control and manipulate another individual's own career path. Perfect Blue is demonstrating an intelligent foresight here, openly acknowledging that these types of pressures, including the lack of complete consent to perform in sexualized roles, are unfortunately commonplace, which the Me Too movement further reinforced when uncovering Harvey Weinstein's history of abuse. Not only does Perfect Blue demonstrate this, that a lack of clear consent is a major issue industry-wide, but the film is examining the extreme impact that parasocial relationships have on their targets. Much of the film examines the negative impact of parasocial relationships when a person develops a seeming bond with an individual who is unaware of this person's existence. The extreme extent that Perfect Blue depicts this hurtles towards pure obsession. Mima's Room is a blog written by Mima's stalker, writing the blog from the point of view of Mima, informed by an anonymous contact, claiming to be the real Mima, is the clearest example of this within the film, as Mima develops her own obsession with Mima's Room, an obsession that begins as a curiosity, gradually developing into a heavy concern as to how someone else there knows so much about her, and that such personal information is being made public. It also forms a self-reflective parasocial relationship with the illusion of herself. Is the Mima reading Mima's Room the real Mima, or is the real Mima writing it? Where does Mima as a performance end, and where does her sense of reality begin? Additionally, Rumi's own protective nature towards Mima initially seems like a dedicated fulfillment within the assistant role, but gradually seems obsessive as she becomes heavily impacted emotionally on Mima's new career progress, crying upon seeing her perform the sexual assault scene within Double Bind, the television drama which Mima features within. With the story within a story's discussion of dissociative identity disorder a major plot point within Double Bind, this acts as a form of foreshadowing of Perfect Blue's major plot twist. The person closest to Mima is also her biggest threat. Rumi is so obsessed with Mima, she believes herself to be the truest and purest form of Mima. Her hyper-parasocial relationship with her closest friend transcends friendships and becomes an obsessive dependency. Once Mima changed her career path, Rumi's intensity towards preserving the ways of the old Mima deepened. While this film is psychological fiction, the way Kon teases the audience with misdirection through unreliability and uncertainty is truly captivating and confrontational. Nightmares blur into reality, which blurs into television performances, sometimes even disrupting Mima's own focus as she struggles to keep track of her own circumstances, forgetting her lines within the scene. Elaborating on this method, Günseli Yalçınkaya further wrote within their Dazed Digital article, stating that often these scenes comment on what's happening in Mima's world. In one scene, Mima, who has recently discovered an obsessive fan account dedicated to herself, utters the words, "Who are you?" before the scene jumps to her saying the same line on the set of a crime thriller, Double Bind. It's through these jump transitions or misdirections that the viewer's spatial awareness is destabilized. The viewer not only begins to question the protagonist's perceptions, but their own. Kon refers to this as the trompe-l'œil, a French art technique which means to deceive the eye. As Mima's mental state spirals, Kon tricks the audience further. What initially appears as real is revealed as hallucinations, dreams, or paranoid projections, making you further question the parameters of reality. The disorienting experience of viewing Perfect Blue begins to challenge our understanding of which events are illusions, which events are literal, which events are mental projections of doubts and anxieties, and which events may even be from the perspective of Rumi herself, as she struggles with her own unconventional relationship with Mimarin. While overwhelming on an initial viewing, Perfect Blue aims to present the viewer with the rhetorical question regarding identity. Who are we really? Do we, or can we even know that? Mima herself is uncertain until the very end when all is revealed, and even when Rumi is placed in psychiatric care, still certain that she is the truest Mima of all. Mima herself acknowledges that she wouldn't be herself today without Rumi, an intended double meaning from the fact that Rumi was both a dedicated assistant, and also how Rumi's violent obsessions with Mima's supposed purity brings the true Mima, after all she has survived through, into a newfound personal and professional confidence. It's a complex journey of self-reflection and self-discovery that Satoshi Kon carries us through, with his distinctive flair for misdirection, intentionally forming his own masterful role as the unreliable storyteller. In conclusion, Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue is a thoroughly complex psychological thriller that continues to inspire generations of filmmakers, further cementing its status as a true classic of anime and adult animation. Satoshi Kon's own mastery of blurring boundaries to deliver a narrative which delves into nightmares, memories, fiction and truth to confront and question the parameters of reality, as well as the audience's own understanding of identity, has also cemented himself as one of the great filmmaking talents within anime, despite his modest output. An incredible talent taken too soon. Perfect Blue is a perfect summation of his creative inspirations and the everlasting curiosity of identity that is present throughout his other works. While not necessarily Kon's most accessible work, it is completely understandable why Perfect Blue has earned its position as one of the greats of 90s cinema. A special thank you to my incredible tier Patreon supporter Gil, and my super tier Patreon supporters Konstantin Bombelli and Victoria.